Hello and welcome to the morning bulletin. I'm joined by obviously myself and Mr. Andrew Beasley to talk about the FA Cup win against Norwich last night. And Andrew, after Sunday's epic Carabao Cup final win against Chelsea, um, the game against Norwich was kind of an afterthought for many. How do you think the game went overall, and do you think there was a general excitement for the game? And what was your thoughts and takeaways from the game itself?
Yeah, it felt Liverpool have had these games in the past where you play a midweek game directly after a cup final, and they are always a bit strange. And this one was no different, really. Obviously, Klopp made 10 changes, which I think everyone would have expected from the cup final lineup. And Liverpool played pretty well, but I think everyone, fans and players from both sides probably turned up thinking, well, Liverpool will play okay, Liverpool will win. And that's how it proved. I only watched it on TV, but it sounded like it was pretty quiet at the ground. I don't think anyone was expecting an upset, and that's how it sort of proved. But Norwich played okay, and they made a bit of a go of it at the end, as they sort of have to in a cup tie. But Liverpool were pretty comfortable and deserved winners.
And Jurgen Klopp obviously made a lot of changes from the win against Chelsea. Was there any surprises that you saw from his starting 11, or do you think that was kind of the side that you kind of believed that he would line out for the Norwich game?
Yeah, as I say, I wasn't expecting too many to play after the cup final because obviously that was an epic encounter and probably a draining experience. Just watching from the bench, I should think. So no, it was. To be honest, I was surprised that Henderson was in there. I thought Morton might have started. I thought he may have made 11 changes and gone the full thing. But it was a decent performance. Nothing more than that. But then it sort of didn't need to be, really.
Yeah, and obviously Takumi Minamino impressed, scoring twice again against Norwich, as he seems to do this season every time Liverpool play Norwich. Aside from Minamino, was there anyone else in the Liverpool starting 11 that impressed you last night?
Well, Curtis Jones was doing well, but he had to go off injured at half time, which was a pity. I think the fullbacks did okay. I think bits and bobs I've read, I think people were more impressed with Milner than I was, perhaps. I think some of his sort of crossing in the final third was a little bit disappointing, particularly in the first half. Other than that, Elliott was good when he came on. I know you said starting 11, but Elliott was very good when he came on. I think he created the most chances and he only played half the game. I feel like Jota was okay, but I think he's probably still just maybe not quite at it following that last little injury. Gomez as well. I think Gomez played well in Konate. Gomez possibly a bit at fault for the Norwich goal, but on the whole, he doesn't play too often, and he did pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean it's good for several players to get runouts that kind of haven't been featuring a lot lately. Players like Milner, Gomez, Chamberlain, Minamino. So all in all, it was good to see a kind of experimental Liverpool side take to the field. How far do you think Liverpool can realistically go in the competition? Obviously, they're good enough to win it, but do you think, depending on the draw and whatever way the league is going, do you think that Liverpool can go all the way in this competition? Obviously, it's a competition that Jurgen Klopp hasn't won, so maybe he would like to taste victory in this competition as well. Or what do you think Liverpool's chances are?
Yeah, I mean, never mind not having won it. I mean, this is the first time Klopp's even reached the quarterfinals, which seems surprising. But then obviously he does tend to rotate quite a lot in this competition. Yeah, it's quite odd. Liverpool have a strange relationship with the FA Cup. When you look back, they don't get to they don't go out in the quarterfinal very often. They either go out really early or they go pretty much all the way. And it's very easy to see this team doing the same. Now, obviously, as you say, the draw is going to be crucial because it could be Manchester City away in the next round. And whilst you'd still say, well, Liverpool could win that, clearly their chances are better if they get Boreham Wood at home after they've knocked out Everton tonight. I mean, it's always going to be the third priority of what remains. I mean, they've now got this quarter-final game, which is going to push the league game against Manchester United back. Obviously, if they get through that, get to the semi-final, that pushes another league game back. So, yeah, I think they've got the squad to be able to win it and get through. But clearly the draw for the next round is going to play a big part, because with so many games, he will no doubt rotate the team, and that's a little bit harder if you've got Man City away than if you've got Middlesbrough at home, let's say, something like that.
Yeah, and I think too it would also depend on the Champions League run and how far Liverpool advance there, and then you could get to April, May with the fixture congestion. So if it could get to that point, maybe the FA Cup would be the competition to kind of discard, maybe we could say. Was there anyone that kind of didn't impress you last night?
Probably Oxlade-Chamberlain. I sort of feel I always sort of loathe to criticize players, particularly those who don't play regularly, because it's not easy. And like last night, you're playing in a team of largely the sort of second choice options, so that's not going to increase your chances of playing well either. But he wasn't great in the recent home league game with Norwich. And he's had another chance there last night. And I think, with all respect to Norwich, as you have to say when you talk about any other team, then you can slag them off. No, clearly these are the sort of games he should be doing well in, because they're not the toughest games that Liverpool face. So I think he will probably think that he perhaps could have done a bit better. I don't think he was probably better than he was in the league game against Norwich, but I think he sort of perhaps needs to seize these opportunities. And whilst we can say it's not easy, it's what he's got to do when given a chance. And I'm not sure he's sort of done that the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that actually Chamberlain didn't take the most of his chance to impress yesterday. But Minamino did, and obviously got 2 goals, and both of them very well taken, but the second one in particular. Do you think there's a future for Minamino at the club past the summer? There's a lot of speculation that he may leave and Liverpool will listen to offers. What is your take on Minamino? Would you keep him or would you sell him?
Well, I think I would probably keep him, because I think he's a good player and he's someone who has shown an ability to take advantage of these sort of opportunities to play in the cup games. Clearly, he's not going to get much game time in the main competitions now that obviously with Diaz and the existing sort of forwards. I suppose a lot of it depends on if anyone leaves this summer. I think if none of the forwards were to leave, then it's very hard to see him getting much game time. But if one of them were, then I would definitely keep him. I mean, it all depends on the player, I suppose. He may want to move on, and I don't think anybody could blame him for that, because I wouldn't say his career's gone badly by any stretch, but obviously he was a regular for Salzburg and playing Champions League football with them, and now he's mostly reduced to these sort of cameo appearances and cup games that the main guys get rested for. Now, there's worse things to be than doing that for a club like Liverpool, of course, but he may feel he wants to move on, and if that's the case, I don't think anyone would begrudge him that. But if he's happy to stay, I think they should keep him, because he's proven his ability to take these sort of limited opportunities and make the most of them.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how the summer kind of unfolds for him. And I mean, with Origi potentially leaving, he could, in theory, take Origi's role as like a super sub, or just, as you say, come in for a game here and a game there. So events will definitely be interesting around Minamino. And obviously, Curtis Jones started last night and was doing well, and then had to be withdrawn at half time. What did you think of his performance? And let's hope that his injury isn't too serious.
Yeah, sorry, we talking about Curtis Jones? It just cut out at the beginning there.
Oh yeah, sorry, Curtis Jones. Yeah.
yes. No, he did do well. I think he's been a little bit unfortunate this season. He's had some chances, but then obviously he's had injuries, and as we say, last night he was doing well, and then he had to come off, which is which is unfortunate because obviously, while he's still young and he has time on his side, he's clearly sort of further down the pecking order than perhaps he was. He certainly looks to be behind Elliott now, if Elliott is fit. So it is hard to see how Jones gets sort of regular starts. I think he'll still get regular appearances off the bench and things like that. But no, it is a pity for him because he was doing well and he could certainly have done with a full game last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, myself and Matt Addison talked about Jones several at the beginning of this week and how he really needed more game time. And obviously there's difference in opinions about where his best position is. And obviously the game last night would have been a good one to get 90 minutes in the legs. And obviously it just didn't work out. So let's hope his thigh injury isn't as serious enough that he could miss weeks, because he's had a very stop-start season. He had the eye injury in November, and he hasn't really got going at all this season. So any final thoughts, Andrew, on Norwich before we kind of wrap this up?
No, I think it's sort of, as I said, it was just a sort of game to be negotiated with minimum fuss, and that's more or less what happened, apart from Norwich's late flurry at the end. As we said, there was 10 changes from last weekend, and I would expect there to be maybe not quite as many, but a similar number for West Ham on Saturday. So yeah, not a game that will live long in the memory, but obviously it keeps the quadruple bid on track, keeps us in the FA Cup, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's all for today's bulletin. Obviously, check out the website liverpool.com for all the latest articles and news. And from myself and Andrew Beasley, that's all for now.